Happiness is beautiful, it's a kind reality. Happiness is the highest good, happiness is free. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.
Welcome to the Happiness Show. This is George Ortega. I'm here with Lionel Ketchin, and we're here to talk about happiness, because happiness is, always has been, and always will be the point of it all. Okay, today we're going to be talking about personal happiness and compassion. And we're going to first start off with the idea, the possibility that actually perhaps the best way to be compassionate is to become as happy as we can initially as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, George, I think, first of all, I love the word compassion. I think it goes right to the heart of everything that's good and everything that's important in life. You know, money's important, health's important, but boy, compassion is not something talked about along with health and money and family. And compassion is pretty much how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. And certainly, if we have happiness, I think it is it's fertile ground for compassion, because I think happiness is compassion. And I think without happiness, compassion won't exist.
Okay, that's a very good point, because you define happiness as being synonymous with compassion, and it makes a lot of sense because, well, firstly, our emotions are contagious, and also our moods and states, right? So yeah, so basically, I mean, what we most want in life, what we want basically most generally is to be as happy as possible. Mm-hmm. And that being compassionate to ourselves, firstly, means to be as happy as possible. You know, that I think is a very clear synonym. And then the other part is that, you know, we're not here alone. We are here with other people, and other people's main goal in life generally is to enjoy life as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And so that basically being compassionate toward them really means to enable them, to help them to become as happy as possible.
Yes, as you're saying that, you know that compassion is a big Buddhist phrase. I mean, it's probably the heart of Buddhism, and I think it's true. But I mean, here in America, in the eastern United States, to talk about compassion, an aspect of compassion is to serve someone else, for example. Now, unless you're a waiter, you're not really in the mindset to serve other people. Well, how's the tip? I mean, it's not the kind of a thing that we think of. But serving others could really be serving ourselves, because for example, with happiness, if we're happy and we give a serving to others, it is serving others, and it's really an overflowing from ourselves of something that we have, an aspect, an emotional aspect that's overflowing. And as you say, the contagiousness just spreads that way. Also, the opposite's true. Negativity and anger and hostility and all that kind of stuff spreads itself as well. And we've seen both, and we understand that one is in service to us and the other is in disservice to us. I think that's the case. So boy, compassion is a very important thought. It's just a word, but this springs up a whole mental and experience. The whole thing's a real experience. I think it's connectiveness. I think we're connected to one another and to ourselves more so through compassion, because then we understand the other person's suffering, because maybe we've suffered that way.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of understanding suffering, but basically what we're most concerned with, in addition to our own personal happiness, is the happiness of others.
Right. So
that as a first step, basically we can't, as you say often, we can't give what we don't have in terms of happiness. So in order for us to understand happiness, to feel it, to really just know its significance and value in life, it makes a lot of sense that before we can really help others as much as we can, we have to have that. We have to have that in abundance so that we don't feel like we're in the kind of a situation where we still need. Because if we're needing, if we're feeling that we're in need, then we're not going to be in the frame of mind to want to give. So really, in a sense, like, we have to acquire happiness for ourselves as a compassionate means of then being able to give it to others.
Yeah, exactly, George, because as you said, when we're in need of something, we can't give what we're in need of. If you need money, you can't give money. So one of the wonderful things about being wealthy is that if you so decided, you could give money to others, as Bill Gates has lately been doing we'll hope for wonderful reasons, other than accounting and financial, but maybe it really truly is compassion, for other people. I mean, he's living in a world with others, he's benefiting from them, so why not do some good for them if he can? And he can. So in a sense, we're only as wealthy in our happiness as we can give it away. I mean, if we don't have it, then we haven't got it to give. And I think that's a very true statement. And I think with compassion, when we see that all people want happiness, and whether they have it or not, or whether they act like they have it, is their business. But certainly, the best we could do for them is to, I hate to say it this way, but show them ours. In other words, be ourselves, come out of happiness if that's truly what we're benefiting from, and let that be the story. If others can benefit from that, great, and there's tremendous benefit to be gotten. But I think friendliness, compassion there's many attributes to it. There's probably a lot of things we could take the word apart, and we're not going to do that, but there's a lot of little parts to compassion. It's empathy, seeing the other person, walking a mile in their moccasins, as it's been said, and all these other ways of relating, but basically to relate to the other person. What this comes down to? Compassion is a great thing, because at least you can get out of your own story and think about the other person for a moment.
Oh, that helps a lot, yeah, because, compassion, in a sense, kind of reminds you that you're where you want to be. You're very happy, and that's really what you want, so that you have the presence of mind to be able to give to others. But one thing we need to stress very strongly, though, is that our own personal happiness, I think we should consider a first step of our compassion, because I think although the research backs up pretty firmly that as we become happier, we become more compassionate people, better people, and we address the needs of those around us better. That may not necessarily always be the case. There could be instances where we become happier, and our happiness may tend to kind of have us want more, just be so concentrated on our own happiness that we don't realize both the responsibility and the wisdom of reaching out to others and helping others to become happier. In the sense of responsibility, of course, it's about compassion also. Just what we're talking about, that it's as happiness is the highest good, as we're trying to be good to others in the world and help them, that happiness is the way, then the responsibility is pretty clear. But also in terms of wisdom, we should really recognize that as we help to help those around us become much happier, we're going to become happier. Because happiness feelings are contagious, and so that the positive feelings of others will come back to us.
You're right. I think that if we had a preference, a happy person would rather be in a happy situation with happy people. That's true, but we have the world to deal with as it is, and it'll slowly change. But you bring up a good point. Happiness first. I think happiness first is an important point, because because it's a feeling, unless we're experiencing this feeling, we're not really in a position to do things for other people, because then we're still stuck in us. And it's interesting. People say, Lionel, you're happy, and then they test that to see how happy, how long, and things like that. But I think being happy is more of a testament to the human race, because if one person could be happy, that's a statement that affects all of us. So in a sense, I'm not just being happy for me, I'm being happy for the world. Now, maybe the world hasn't gotten around to accepting that as an important thing, but just the fact that somebody's doing it is important for all of us. Just as Thoreau went off and lived in the woods and did his thing, and he still read, and he still, what one person does, and imagine a thing like happiness is good for everyone, but nobody's doing it. So the fact that you're doing it, I'm doing it, that's monumental. And it's not just good for me. And I think that's where compassion comes in, because I really never thought about this, but I was always being happy for me. But boy, I'm being happy for more than me. I'm being happy for the world, because it's a good place for the world to be. But I never thought of it that way.
Oh yeah. And just like happiness, our personal happiness is really the first step of our being compassionate toward others. Basically, compassion is about giving. And certainly we can help others to become happier by just our being happy, very happy. But we could do much more, because a lot of times, especially with regards happiness, teaching is giving. We can teach people. If one is very happy, one is blessed, one is very fortunate to have the awareness that happiness is very important, because many of us are just not as happy as we could because we're not aware of that. We just don't value happiness enough. And also those of us who have achieved a certain level of happiness, who are hopefully very happy, understand happiness, and so that our compassion can be reflected in how we teach others. Because this happiness, I mean, as we've talked about so often on this show, it is very simple. It's not complicated. It's not anything that anyone, that is, just only a few can understand. Anyone can understand that it's so simple, but it has to be taught. It has to be taught, and so that, again, as a sense of like, we become personally happy. We sense our responsibility to help others become happier, as an act of compassion. And then I think as a way to be compassionate toward them, teaching them the value of happiness, and teaching them the very simple strategies and considerations that will assure they'll become much happier.
Yeah, I like that. I think teaching happiness is teaching is giving, as you say, and a very important point, very good point. Teaching is giving, and I'd like to say, even though it may sound a little strange, that I tell people be happy, but maybe you'd like to teach people to be happy. Sounds a little weird at first, but boy, what a great way to learn how to be happy is to teach it. I guess I was doing that as I learned to be happy for myself. People ask me, how do you do it? So then I'm only relating my own experience, but I'm actually, I guess, teaching, even though I don't think of it that way, because I'm just letting them know what I've been doing. Been up to. It's almost like saying, hey, what have you been up to lately? What are you doing? It's like playing a sport, teaching them how to play a game. That's what I think happiness is. And so maybe it'll be like learning a new game. It's like some people play Monopoly, chess, or basketball, and they want to play it better. Well, that's what you do with happiness. You could play it better. You can get pretty good at it. And you get to the point where, there's no obstacles anymore. You just dribble your way right down the court and, bingo. It's, you're going to make it. There's no such things as obstacles. It may take you a little longer, but it's all fun. And sometimes the harder it gets, the more challenge it is. It's not that it's more difficult, it's just a challenge. This is the kind of thinking, I think, that goes on when you start thinking positively. And I want to invite people to check out the website, happinessclub.com, because there's a free newsletter on there. I write a column for the Fairfield Citizen newspaper, and that's in Connecticut, Fairfield, Connecticut. And also, you get a free newsletter on it. You could even write in to us and tell us about the show, or questions or comments. And you could even, a lot of email from people is really teaching me more about happiness. And I post their emails on my newsletter to let other people know how happiness works for people in their life. Whether it's overcoming cancer, the loss of a loved one, something good, something bad. We're all learning. And I think that I love the idea of teaching is giving, because if we do more giving, we're out of ourselves again and we're into compassion, which is another aspect.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we only have a few minutes left, and I want to explore a bit in detail just the idea that happiness, in the sense of compassion, is both the means and the end. In other words, what we want most in life, what everyone wants most in life, is to be as happy as possible, and everything in life is pretty much a means to that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's very ironic, it's very wonderful that the best means to our end is happiness. I mean, it's kind of like, it's interesting because, like, you've said many times on the show that the best way to be very happy is to be very happy, to make the decision. Mm-hmm. And that's very important because, if we understand that happiness is, our goal, our most compassionate goal for ourselves and others, and it's also the best means of reaching that goal, then there's a great understanding that can lead us to conclude that, well, then happiness should be the basis of our life. Happiness should be what we surround our motivations and actions and ambitions about.
Yeah, happiness has always been a goal when it really doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be, because everything you do to reach the goal of happiness. But, as Aristotle said, everything is a means to an end except happiness. That's a means in itself. And so instead of making happiness a goal, let's make it our purpose. Let's make it what we start our day with. Let's make it the beginning and the end. And with that comes the power to not only enjoy everything better, but to live better, to do the best we can, to not be perfect at it, but to do the best we can at it. And probably do better the next day, but not to judge it. And to enjoy it, that's the most important thing. And then, with compassion, to share it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, because basically, it's not, we can't just settle for our own happiness, because it's not good and it's not wise. We have to share it, to bring people in. Okay, well, that's all we have time for today. Now, I guess, we're going to be going to Amy Branch now for our West Coast Happiness section. All right, take it away, Amy.
Hello, welcome to the Happy Zone. Today we're going to be talking about how when people do what they love, it contributes to their levels of happiness. My friend Jordan, who is one of the happiest people I've ever met, has graciously volunteered his time today for us to follow him around and while he's shopping in preparation for a meal that he's about to be cooking. And he has been a chef for about 15 years now, so he's been doing what he's loved for quite some time. I can't wait for you to see how happy this guy is. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, happy to see you.
Happy to see you.
Welcome, come on in.
Thanks,
Please.
thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You guys coming right in the nick of time. About to stop tasting vegetables for our late lunch.
Awesome.
Come on in.
So Jordan, tell me, how does shopping for produce contribute to your happiness?
Well, I mean, when you look at the variety here, I can't help but smile. And there's everything that I could possibly want. Even when I come in here and I have no idea what I'm going to eat, I get inspired by just what I see around me. And having that many options brings me at ease, And so I always leave here knowing what I'm going to cook, excited about how I'm going to use my stuff. And just getting here, biking here, and biking home with a basket full of goodies. I mean, how can you not be happy? So, yeah, pretty lucky guy to have a market so close to my heart.
Simple pleasures.
Simple pleasure. Produce check, bike block check. Hit the road here. See you guys later.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into cooking?
Well, my mom was a gourmet, and growing up, she always prepared fancy meals. And I was a little resentful of that. I wasn't really down with all the fancy food, but somehow, it must be the genetics, but I just came to be more like my mom than I would have ever expected. And as I grew older, I realized that cooking was really important to me too. And I'm so much like my mom now, it's ridiculous. And I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
How did you know that cooking started contributing to your happiness?
Well, you know, when I was really young and I moved out of my parents' house, my friends would come over to my house because I was the first one to have their own place. And my friends were really enthusiastic about the food that I would prepare for them. They were like, Jordan, this is really good, you know, and just seeing, you know, the happy expression on their face made me think that maybe there's something to this. And that's kind of what propelled me to go to cooking school.
To share your happiness with other people and help them be happy through cooking.
Seeing people enjoy my cooking made them happy. It also made me happy. And I felt like, you know, what a good career choice this might be. 15 years later, I'm still doing it. And I enjoy it. Food's really important to me. And, you know, I like feeding my friends and myself. Yeah.
How does your well-being contribute to your happiness and involved with this cooking?
Well, you know, being able to cook what I want to eat gives me a sense of ease. I have a specific taste, and being able to prepare the things that I want to eat, it could make me happier, really. I love eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and being able to prepare those in a way that's super tasty. It just makes me very happy. And it, you know, just I don't even know how to explain it, but you know, loving to cook and feeding myself, it's really important to me. And you know, it's given me a sense of control over my life,
right,
and how I fuel my body.
And I heard a saying once that you are what you eat. How do you think that saying relates to your happiness?
Well, I think it relates a lot to my happiness because I feel that fresh fruits have a life force and an energy, and it gets transferred into my being. And, you know, being able to shop daily and picking up the freshest ingredients and consuming them right away, that energy is transformed into my body and soul, and it, you know, obviously makes me a very happy person.
And we're very happy to hear that.
Well, it's true. It's true. There's not a line. I love eating fresh fruits and vegetables. You know, I do cook some vegetables just because they're a little bit too dense or bitter when eaten raw. But yeah, there's something about eating a fresh peach and having the juice drip down your chin. I mean, I just love that. And,
me too.
Yeah, and you know, we're right in the middle of summertime, so you know, it's just great pickings all around.
Right. Yeah. And I think you have an herb garden upstairs.
I do, and I need to pick some flowers, some chive flowers for my fettuccine that I'm going to roll out. So maybe we can go do that so we can get the show on the road.
Awesome. Let's go.
Let's go.
Jordan, what is your definition of happiness?
Well, if you can smile without consciously knowing it, I think that is the ultimate definition of being happy. Not forcing it, just being. And that's what I try to achieve. So, yeah, I don't really have a definition. As long as I'm living it, that's what's really most important to me.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how happy would you say you are?
I'm going to say at 9.5.
9.5?
Yeah. I'm a really lucky person. I have a lot of friends and family that care about me very much. And I have a career that I love. I have a great little apartment that's all mine. You know, I share it with my cat. My overhead's not low. I have zero debt. And I live in Northern California. I mean, these are all wonderful attributes to a happy lifestyle.
Right.
So I'm very lucky, and I know it. And I'm going to try and maintain that for as long as I can possibly live.
Where's the 0.5?
You know, that's the undiscovered happiness. You know, maybe that special someone. You know 0.5 out there?
Maybe they do.
Maybe. Help, please. But, you know, I mean, I can't have it all. So, yeah, maybe that's why I'm leaving that 0.5 out. Because there's something more that I haven't even discovered yet. So, you know.
Always room for improvement.
I think so.
We always need more happiness, I think.
Well, you know, I have enough for myself, and I think it's time for me to give out, because like I said, I'm really happy, and I want to show other people that they can be happy too. It's just a perception that you need to embrace, and it's really easy to achieve.
Amen.
Amen. Let's go roll up some pasta dough.
Let's do it. Jordan, can you tell us about a time at work when you were just so happy?
Well, I remember I was cooking in a restaurant in Boston, and I was working this tandoori oven, which is like a big Indian oven. And this couple, it was kind of in the dining room, and a couple came up to me, and they seemed like they didn't know anything about food. And they were like, "Hey, what's going on? This is a tandoori oven?" And I was like, "Yeah, folks, you know, it's an Indian oven, and we do skewers, and I also work the wood-burning pizza." And I was going on and on and on about, you know, the specifics of the station. It turned out to be Dean Ferring, who's like one of the country's most famous chefs, has like this like amazing restaurant. And you know, it was just so cool because he was so patient with me. He listened to what I had to say. He didn't have to like, you know, remind me that he was like some famous chef. It was just really interesting, you know, and it was just something that'll live in my memory for a long time. And it just made me really proud to be a cook and meet a fellow colleague as famous as he was, and not be so pretentious. And you know, because sometimes people, when they reach that level of stardom, they have to kind of let the world know that they're a star. And seeing that really kind of, you know, the humbleness and the attitude that he was giving off to me made me very proud. And I was proud of him, and you know, it just was really a fun experience.
Great.
One of the many. One of the many.
Happiness is powerful, it's our underlying need. Happiness is why we live each day. Happiness is destiny. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.